Okay, guys, I'll be telling you about the core modules of FIDINA today. And in this session, we'll be covering how we can do the basic settings. We'll be covering the human resource module where we can manage the employees. We'll be covering how we can add students in FIDINA. Then we will look at the timetable settings and how we can mark the student attendance. And then we will see how we can create events in FIDINA and how the students can view their calendar. So these are the modules, the basic functionalities that we'll be covering in this session. And before starting using FIDINA, the first thing that we should know is who all can log in FIDINA. So that would be the admin who has all the privileges. He can add other employees, he can add students, and then we have the employees who will be the teachers, the staff, the faculty. Then we have the students and the parents of the students. So these are the four kind of logins in FIDINA. And for the first time, I should log in as an admin so I can add other employees, students, and do the basic settings. Now this screen that you see here, this is known as the dashboard of the admin. And this box that you see here, these are known as dashlets. Each of the dashlet is giving you some information about your institute as per the data entry that you've done. You can manage what you want to see on the screen by going to Manage Dashlet. You can check the options that you want to see and uncheck the ones that you don't. After customizing your dashboard, you must do settings as FIDINA administrator. So you will go to administration and here you have settings. Here the first setting that we should be doing are the general settings where we are going to tell FIDINA about our institute. So we'll enter the name of the institute, address and the phone number. We'll select the type of the institute, which can be K-12, meaning kindergarten till class 12 or grade 12. Or it can be higher education, which are semester courses or degree courses. Then we can select the type of attendance, which can be once in a day, or based on the timetable, number of subjects in a day. We can select the start day of the week as per what the education system follows. We can select the date format, which can be date, month, year, month, date, year, or year, month, date, and the separator as we want to see. The fiscal year start and end date of the institute can be selected from here. So this is the duration between which you will be issuing salaries, collecting fees. Then the starting receipt number. Now whenever we take an income in FIDINA, there's a receipt that will be generated. On that receipt, we have, and automatically a number will appear. So this is that number, the starting number. It will auto increment for the subsequent receipts. Then the language, time zone, country and currency type will depend on the location of your institute. So that can be selected from the drop downs. The precision count is a number of digits you want to see after decimal in the finance report. So that can be mentioned here. You can upload the logo of your institute and select the grading system. So these are the four kind of grading systems that are followed. You can select the ones that you want to appear in FIDINA. So as per the grading system that you select here, you will be doing the settings in the examination. Then we can enable auto increment of student and employee admission number. So we have an admission form in FIDINA for employee as well as for the student, and for the first time we are going to mention the admission number for the student or the employee number for the employee. For the subsequent times, if you want the admission number and the employee number to come automatically by auto incrementing, you can check this option. You can enable the news comment moderation. So there's a news module in FIDINA where anyone can comment. If you want the comments to be approved by the admin before anyone else can see them, then you can check this option. Now, if you want to give the parents of the children a single login, irrespective of how many students are studying in this institute, you can check this option. So if a parent is having more than one child in the same institute, he will be having a single login and not multiple logins. You can enable password change at first time login, because when the admin is going to admit employees and students, they will be given a default password. If you want to give them an option where they can change their password when they log in FIDINA for the first time, you can check this option. Now there is a functionality of roll number in FIDINA. Now roll number is a unique number that is given to each student within a batch. So within a group of students, I can give a unique number to identify each student. This roll number is different from admission number. Admission number is unique within FIDINA, irrespective of the batch, whereas roll number is unique within a batch. So once we've done these settings, we can save them. And the next step now would be to add courses and batches. So we'll go to manage course batch, and here we'll go to manage course. Now if you're a school, the courses for you would be grade 1, grade 2 and so on. Some schools follow other nomenclature, which is standard 1, standard 2 and so on. Some schools might also write class 1, class 2, class 3 and so on. So these would be the courses. And the batches inside the course would be a group of students. For example, I've created a course called class 1, and when I click on it, I'll be able to see that I've created a batch called A 2015-16. So a batch is a bunch of students who will follow the same timetable. So if you are a school or a K-12 institute, you will be clicking on New and giving the name of the course to be, let's say, grade 11. Do not give anything in section name. Section name will be used in case you are a higher education institute. Give the code, which can be same as the grade, or it can be a shorter name. Select the grading system. Enable elective selection if you want the students of this course to be able to select their own subjects. And give the initial batch details. A batch in FIDINA is equivalent to a group of students who follow the same timetable. So in grade 11, I might have divided the students into two groups, Group A and Group B. Group A might have a different timetable than Group B. Group A might have 20 students and Group B might have 30 students. So if you want to divide the students in the same course, you can divide that in form of batches. You may have only one batch or more than one batch. So we'll be giving the name of the group, a meaningful name, so A, followed by the year in which this course is starting. and we can mention the start and end date of this course or the academic year of this course. So once we've created this course, you will see this course will appear in the list of courses that you already have, if any. And when you click on it, you will see that it has a batch that we created, which is A 2015. But the full name of the batch would be prefixed by the code of the course. That is why it shows here G11-A 2015, denoting that this A 2015 group of students belongs to grade 11. So this is one batch that we are creating. Before creating another batches, which you can do from here, you can first add the subjects of this batch. To add the subjects, we will go to Manage Subjects option. Select that batch that we just created, which is G11A 2015. And you will see that it gives you an option to add normal subjects. Normal subjects are mandatory subjects, which all the students of this batch must study. And it gives an option to add electives. Electives are optional subjects that the students can study. So here I'll be adding a normal subject by clicking on Add Normal Subject and giving the name of the subject. Maximum weekly classes are the number of periods of this subject that will happen in a week. Number of periods or number of hours. So let's say 6 periods of English will happen in a week. And this subject is going to have an exam. So I'll not be checking this option. In case there is a subject which appears in the timetable but has no exam, then we can check this option. So like this, I can add one more subject. So these are the normal subjects. Then we can add the optional subjects. Before adding an optional subject, we must create a group of such subjects and give it a meaningful name. For example, let's say games is a elective group name. And we can mention the last date to choose the elective. So the students will be able to choose the subjects inside games by 22nd of April, which is by default 1 week from now, which you can change. So after creating the selective group, we need to enter the subjects in it. Right now, it is empty. So we'll click on Add and add the subjects like this. It is similar to what we did for the normal subject. So I am adding 2 subjects here which are optional. The student can choose both of them or one of them. Similarly, the FIDINA administrator can assign students. So he can assign students to each of these optional subjects. We can add more options as well in the same group, which is games. We can create multiple groups as well. So now once we've created the set of subjects, if we want to create another batch in grade 11, we'll go to Manage Course, select that grade that we just created and click on New. So we already have A 2015. Let's say we want to create another group of students, which is B 2015. Here we can check Import Previous Batch Subjects option so that we don't have to create the same subjects for this batch again. So now if we see grade 11, it is having 2 groups, A and B, which are known as batches in grade 11. So once we've added the subjects, then we can add the category of students by going to Manage Student Category. Now, the students have to be categorized based on how you want to give them discounts in the fee section later on. So here I'll give the name of the category, let's say as staff child. It means that when I admit a student now, it will ask me what is the category of that student. And if I put that student in staff child category, in the fee section, I'll be able to give him discounts. So like this, I have created categories here. And this can be saved. So it will appear here automatically like it is already appearing for me. So I've created all these categories. A student can belong to only one category at a time. The next setting that we should be doing before starting entering students is adding their additional details. So we have add admission additional detail option, where we can enter the details that we want to take from the student besides his general details. So the general details, which are the name, the date of birth, the previous institute educational details and so on, will be automatically appearing in the admission form. But some of the other details that are specific to your institute, you can mention them here. For example, let's say you want to take the height information of the student. You can make it a mandatory field. And how do you want it to be inputted? In the form of text box, text area, a drop down, or a set of check boxes that can be selected from here. So like this, we can create another additional field called allergies. So in case you're providing food or lunch to the students, you may want to know their allergy types, so you can mention that in the form of text area. So we are creating some fields here which will be appearing when you admit the student in form of his additional details. So like this, I've created many fields already, like height, weight, allergies, and they will be appearing when I admit the student now. The next setting that we should be doing is the SMS setting. The first step before starting doing SMS settings is to configure SMS by going to your FEDINA account panel. The FEDINA account panel is the place where you created the school. So where the domain of the school was created, we have to mention that. So I'm logging in with my details. And here I'll be going to company and I'll be going to SMS. So here I'll have an option to add. For you, this will be empty. You have to click on add, and as per the settings that are given to you by the third-party SMS provider, you have to enter the details here. So when you purchase an account with the SMS provider in your country, you have to enter these details as per the details that is given by him to you. And once you've done these settings, when you create the school, inherit these settings. And then inside FEDINA, enable these settings by going to SMS settings and checking this option of application like this. So once you do that, you will see that these options appear up. And the first 5 options that you see here, this is where automatic SMS will be sent. For the next 3 options, you can manually send SMS. For example, whenever a student is admitted, and for that student you have put in the mobile field in his profile, he will be getting an SMS. Whenever an exam is scheduled, a student is absent, an event is created, or a fee is submitted. So a fee payment is made. The student and the parent of the student will be getting the SMS if you put the mobile information for both of these actors. Then we can update this. And then to manually able to send the message, we'll be clicking on any one of these options. Like send SMS to student will enable us selecting a batch, and the students will appear. We'll be checking it, mentioning the message and sending it to the student. Similarly, we can do it for the full batch, so a group of students, for employee or a set of employees, and we can broadcast a message to all as well. We can also see the SMS log. So what was the message that was sent and on what date and time. So these are the basic settings that we should be doing before starting entering students. And student roll number, this option should be managed after you have entered the students. So let's say that I've entered the students in the batch. I will be going to manage student roll number. And here I'll be selecting that batch. So here I'll be selecting this course. I'll be clicking on view batches and the batch will appear. The roll number is currently not set. I'll click on set roll numbers, which are the unique numbers that I want to give the students of this batch. And you will see that the students will appear sorted by their first name. That is because we have selected the first name sorting option when we clicked on manage student roll number for the first time. You can sort based on first name, last name, or the admission number of the students. And accordingly, the roll number will automatically come up. You can also see that with this roll number, there is a prefix that comes up because I've already created a prefix. So we can mention the prefix. This is an optional setting to do. If you do not want to give a prefix, that is also fine. So in that case, it will only give the unique numbers for each student in the sorted order. And we can apply this. So these students will now have a roll number. So the roll number status is now set. We've given unique number to each student of this batch. Now to see how to enter the students, we will be going to academics, student, student admission. And you will see for the first time, the admission number will be empty. This field will be coming as empty. You can mention the admission number like this. The admission number can be a set of characters, but currently it only allows underscore as a special character. We can mention the admission date, the first name of the student. We can mention the other details. You can also see it is asking for the category of the student. So these are the categories that we created. We can put him in a category. So later on, we can give him a discount as well. We can enter the contact details. Then we can put him in a batch. So let's say the student belongs to grade 11, A batch. We can mention the roll number here, or we can manage it from the settings as well. We can enter these details and upload the photo of this user. Then we can enter the sibling details. If you're entering here, if you're entering the student for the first time and he does not have a sibling, then you can skip this step and enter the parent details of the student. Otherwise, you can search the sibling which you've already entered, which is another student, like this. Click on it and he'll get selected here. So for now, let me skip it and enter the parent details of this student. So for the parent also, the profile in Fedina will get created. We can add one or more guardians. And one of the guardians will be having a login to Fedina. So we can select that from here. Then if a student is coming from a previous institute, we can enter those details here. The year in which he passed, the course that he took there, These all details can be mentioned and the marks that he scored. We can also enter individual subject details. These are the additional details that I created. So we can enter the information here and this will be saved in the profile of the user. And now the profile of the student gets created. The student will be able to log in using user 108 and user 108.123. And since he's logging in for the first time and we've done this setting of enabling him to change his password, it is asking us to do so. As a student, I can see my reports, the examination reports and the attendance information by going to academics. I can see the calendar, my profile and the timetable. I can also see news, if any, published by the admin. So this is how we can admit the students. Now let's see human resource module. So this is where we are going to add the employees, manage their leaves, generate their payslips. So we will go to administration, human resource. And here we'll be doing some settings prior to starting adding employees. So the first setting is categorizing the employees into some categories like teaching, non-teaching, HR, admissions and so on. So based on how you want to categorize them, you can mention the name of the category here like this and a short form for it. So this way I've created this category called teaching. So likewise the other categories can be created. In each category we must assign a position. So we'll be selecting the category and mentioning the position like this. So we are creating positions inside each category. So I've created junior teacher, lecturer who is again in the teaching category, professor in the teaching category and so on. HR manager in the HR category. So likewise you can create at least one position in each category. Then we have the department of the employee. So here we can enter the department details. We can mention the name of the department, the code and the status. Now the department can be generic like academics, sports, arts and craft, etc. Or it can be based on the subjects as well. Then the grade of the employee can be set. Grade of the employee will help you decide how many hours the employee is working. This grade is basically for the teaching staff, where you want to track the number of hours the teachers will be working. So I'll be giving the name of the grade, any appropriate name, let's say grade 1, and I'll be mentioning how many hours in a day grade 1 employees will be working. So let's say 2 hours, and in a week grade 1 employees will be working 8 hours. I can mention the priority. Priority denotes the seniority level of the employee in the institute. So like this we can create grades, like I've already created few grades, and when I enter an employee or admit an employee, it will ask me to which grade does the employee belong. And based on how many periods the employee should be taking, I will be mentioning the details here. Then we can add the payroll category. The payroll category are the components that you see in the payslip of the employee, which can be earnings as well as deductions. So here I'll be creating an earning, like let's say basic salary. I'll be mentioning, if it is a dependent component, I'll be mentioning the percentage and what is it dependent on. But since it's a fixed component, I'll not be selecting anything here. To create a dependent earning, let's say ABC, I'll be mentioning how much is it dependent on the other component. To create a dependent deduction, I'll be checking this option as well, which denotes it's a deduction. So I've created earnings and deductions like this. And when I admit an employee, I'll be asked to enter the figures against these payroll categories. We can add the bank details of the employee. So it's creating fields, and these fields will be asked in the admission form. Similarly, additional details. Like we did for the student, we can create fields for the employee as well, and these fields will be asked in the admission form. After we've done these settings, we'll be going to employee management, and we'll be clicking on employee admission to see the admission form. I'll be mentioning the employee number, and again, like admission number, employee number can have any set of characters, but only underscore is allowed as a special character. We'll be mentioning the first name. We'll be mentioning the department to which this employee belongs. So let's say this employee belongs to English department and she's a teacher. We can select the position. So you can see all these values are coming because we've done the settings. We can select the grade of the employee as depending on how much this employee should be working, how many hours this employee should be working in a week. We can mention the other details here as well. We can upload the photo of this employee from here. We can enter the addresses to keep a record of them, so we can refer to it at a later stage. The bank details, so the fields that we created, the values against them can be entered. The additional details, again the fields that we created are appearing, we can enter them. And then we can set the privileges for this employee. Privileges denote what all this employee will be able to do in his profile. For example, for this employee, if you want him to be able to collect the fees in FEDINA, you can check this option under finance, which is fee submission. So this employee will not be able to do anything else except collecting the fees. For example, for an administrator, you can see a lot of links that appear because the administrator has all these privileges. Whereas for the employee, you can set the privileges as per the role of this employee in the institute. So let's say for this employee, we want to give him attendance marking privilege. So we have student attendance register option checked here. Similarly, we also want that this employee should be able to view the attendance records of the student. So I'm checking these two options and I'm saving it. The next screen is asking for the manager of this employee. Now, manager is another employee that we have in FEDINA. So I'm assigning this employee as the manager of the current employee that I'm admitting. So clearly, the managers or the employees should be put in first before admitting the lower level employees. Then we can enter the payroll details of the employee. So you can see these are the categories that I have already created. So they are appearing here. I can enter the value against the category, which is fixed category, and the dependent categories will automatically appear up. For the other categories which are fixed, we can mention the values here. These values can be changed later on when you generate the payslip of this employee. So you can see the profile of this employee gets created, This employee will be able to log in using E106 and E106.123 as the password, which is given by default, and she's asked to change her password because she's logging in for the first time. So you can see for this employee, she has an option to mark and view the attendance because that is a privilege that we've given her. She has an option to view the calendar. This is the basic option that will come for all the employees, to apply for leave, to view the profile, and to view the news. You can see this employee cannot add the subjects, cannot add courses, cannot do general settings and so on because we haven't given him that privilege. Also, let's see how we can mark the student attendance. So if I'm logged in as this employee who has the privilege of marking attendance, or any tutor, I'll be able to mark the attendance. So I'll be going to attendance option and attendance register. I'll be selecting the batch for which I want to mark the attendance. So let's say this is the batch that I have, and the student details of the batch and the students will appear like this. Wherever you see a blank cell in FIDINA, it denotes that the student is present. If you want to mark a student absent, you have to click on the cell and enter the reason why the student is absent and select whether the student is absent for the full duration of the day or half of the day. And once you do that, you will see that it gets denoted by this sign. In case you're using FIDINA inside of the classroom and you do not want to enter the reason for every student, you can skip it by checking this option of rapid attendance. In this case, just click on the cell for which you want to mark the student absent, and you can see it is not asking for the reason. The highlighted cell, the highlighted column here, shows the current date. You can mark the student absent for the current date or for the previous dates. You can view the report. So we have two kinds of reports. Let's see the attendance report based on the batch. So we'll be selecting the batch here, and we can view it monthly or the overall attendance data. The total number of working days since the start of this batch is shown, and how many working days are attended by the student is shown, and hence the percentage. We can also filter this data from here. On clicking on the name of the student, we can further see the details. We have another kind of report, which is day-wise attendance report. This shows you the overall view of the attendance for the FIDINA Institute. So it shows the total strength and how many students are present today. If you want to see more details for a particular batch, you can select that batch from here. And the absentees will come up. On clicking on the batch, you can view the absentee details from here. You can do this not only for the current date, but also for a previous date. So this is how we can mark the attendance of the student. Now let's see what else employee will be able to do. We've admitted the employee now. Now we can create their leaves so that the employees can apply for leaves. So we'll go to Employee Leave Management and add the types of leave. To add a leave, we'll be giving the name of the leave, some code, and how many such leaves are allowed. Also, if we want to carry forward the left amount of the leaves, we can check this option here. So like this, we have to add all the type of leaves that we want to allow the employees to be able to take. To set the duration for which these leave counts are applicable, we have to go to Reset Leaves and Leave Reset Settings. Here is where we mention the duration in terms of months. So you can enter the months for which the 3 sick leaves that we just created are applicable. You can check this option of enabling automatic reset, which would mean that after the period of 4 months is over, the employees will again get the maximum count of each leave. You can mention the begin date from here. After we've done these settings, you can also manually reset instead of automatically resetting from here. So you can uncheck this option and manually reset for all the employees or based on the department of the employees or individually for each employee. Now the employee will be able to apply for leave. So I am logging in as this employee that I just created. And the employee will go to academics and leaves. This is where the leave application form appears. He can select the type of leave that he wants to avail. If he wants to take a half day, he can check this. So 0.5 of the leave would be deducted instead of full day. He can select the duration from here. He can mention the reason and apply for this leave. Now the leave application will go to the manager of this employee for approval. So I'll be logging in as the manager now. And I'll be able to see in the dashboard on my dashboard the details of the leave applications that I applied. I'll click on the name of the employee and the details will come up here. So it shows the total count of the leave and how much has the employee taken till now. And he's applying for 2 days of leave and the details. This leave application can be approved or denied. If we are approving the leave application, the admin or anyone with the HR privilege will be able to view the attendance details of this employee. So when I go to employee leave management, I have attendance register. I can select the department. It lists all the employees. So on the left hand side, you will see all the employees come up. So the view is same as we saw for the student, and it lists the employees who are on leave like this. So this sign has now automatically come up since this employee has applied for leave and it got approved by the manager of the employee. We also have report where we can select a department and view the report like this. So it shows the employee and what type of leave they've taken. We also have a filtered report. So the report that you are currently looking at is since the starting or the joining date of this employee. If you want to filter it based on some duration, you can use that option of filtered report. Now let's see how we can generate the payslip of the employee. There are 2 ways in which the payslip can be generated. It can be done in one click or by selecting each employee. So in one click, you'll just be asked the month for which you want to generate the salary slips. So you can select that month from here. It can be a current month or a future month. And when you use this option, it will take the payslip or the payroll categories data as per what you have already entered for the employees when you admitted them. In case you want to edit any field or you want to add any individual particulars, you should not use this option. You can use the other option, which is selecting each employee and generating their payslip. So you will see that these are the details that I entered when I admitted this employee. I get a privilege here to change these details or add individual details as well. So these details that I'm entering are currently only for this employee. And I can generate the payslip now for this month or for a future month for this employee. Once the payslips are generated like this, anyone from the finance department can approve it by going to payslip, and again he can use the one-click approve payslip method or select the department, select the month and view the pending payslip, and the details will appear like this. Now this payslip can be approved or rejected. In case this payslip is rejected, it will again go back to the HR. HR will get an option to edit these fields and values and generate the payslip again. In case it is approved, HR will be able to see the status in the details. So let's see that. When we go to employee payslip, we'll be selecting the month, and for all the employees together, it shows the details like this. So it shows the payslip status to be approved or pending as per the month that you select and as per the action of the finance payslip approval. We can get this into a CSV report as well. So this is about human resource. Now let's see how we can create events in FIDINA. We have this option of event creation under collaboration. Here we can create a normal event or we can declare holidays as per the academic calendar of the school. Now declaring holidays is a mandatory thing. The reason is for that day you do not want the attendance to be counted. So you must declare the holidays as per the academic calendar in FIDINA. To declare a holiday, I'll be selecting a date on which I want to declare it. I'll be giving the title. So let me select some date. And I'll be giving the title of the holiday, which can be an appropriate title, and the description. I'll check this option of is holiday, and if this holiday is applicable to everybody in FIDINA or the full institute, we can check this option of event common to all. If we do not check it, in the next page, in the next form, it will ask us to select the employees and the students for whom it is applicable. So I can confirm this event and you will see that the calendar appears and shows this date to be a holiday. So for this date, the attendance for the employee as well as for the student will be disabled in FIDINA. So you will not be able to mark the attendance. So this calendar can also be viewed by going to academics and calendar. So it shows the same view. Now let's see the batch summary option. So here it shows the details of the batch. So we'll be selecting the batch here. So let's say I have this batch and I'll be selecting. The students will appear up along with the details. We can see the attendance details, so present and the absentees and the overall attendance percentage. We can see it for today or for previous date. We can see the subjects and the employees that are associated with them. We can see the timetable details and the examinations that have been created. So now let's see how we can set up the timetable of the institute. We'll be going to academics and timetable. The first step here is to manage the class timing set. So you will see that if you open FEDINA for the first time, default is the option that comes up automatically. You can click on view class timings and you will see that for the first time it will be empty. And here you will get an option to add the class timing. So click on that, and when you do that, it will ask you to enter the details like this. So this window will appear. You have to mention the period details here. So period 1, what is the start time of it and what is the end time of it. So like this, I have created many periods. You can also create breaks in between. The only difference is you have to check this option of is a break to declare this as a break. So once we've edited the default class timing set, we'll be going to set weekdays and class timing sets. And you will see that when you select a batch, automatically the default class timing set will be appear. So when you see it for the first time, it appears like this. All of them will be default. It means that on Monday, the class timing that you've just entered in default will be now followed. Similarly for the other weekdays. You can check Saturday if that is also working. You can uncheck any other day in case that is not working for this batch that you just selected. So this setting you can do for each batch. By default, as per the weekday that you have selected, Monday to Friday will be working and all the class timing sets will be default. If you want to change it for a batch, you have to select that batch and change it accordingly. Once you have done these settings, then you have to create the timetable. So we will go to create timetable and we'll be selecting the start and the end date of the timetable. Now this decision of what is the duration of timetable has to be taken dependent on how you want the timetable to repeat. For example, for Monday, let's say you have period 1, period 2 and period 3, which is maths, English and science. Now let's say on next Monday as well, you want to have these 3 periods in the same duration. And this will continue, let's say, for the full academic year. So in that case, your start date and end date should be the full academic year. Also, within the start and end date, all the batches will have a different or a same timetable. That means that start and end date is same for all the batches. So here I'll be giving the start and end date. I've given it for a month. It can be for a week, for 15 days, for a month or more than a month as per how you want the timetable to repeat. So I've already created for this duration, which is 10th April to 30th April. I'll click on edit timetable entries, select the batch for which I want to create the timetable, and you will see that the details appear up like this. So for Monday, I have given this batch a different class timing set. So it appears here. For the other days, I have given a different class timing set. Now I'll be selecting the batch and the teacher associated with the batch will appear. I'll select the teacher, select when this subject will happen and click on assign. So you can see the teacher gets assigned like this. And then I'll be selecting another subject and the teacher will appear, and again I'll be assigning this teacher to the subject and the slot that is available. So like this, I should be completing all the slots for this timetable for this batch, and it has to be done for each batch here. After you've done this, you can view the timetable and get a PDF or a CSV report of this timetable. So I created it for this batch. So I can get a PDF or in the form of Excel sheet here. Then I can view the teacher timetable. So within this duration, as per the timetable allocation that I've currently done, it will show the teachers and when are they available or when are they busy. So it shows in each weekday what is the period that they are taking in what batch and in what duration. Then we have work allotment. So work allotment is assigning the teacher to the subject. So work allotment should be done before you actually start creating the timetable. So you will see that I can assign for this batch, for mathematics, I can assign the teachers like this for each subject. And as per the change that you do here, the table on your right hand side will be changed accordingly. You will see three terms being used here. One is OK, another one is remaining, and we have deficit. OK would denote that as per the grade of this teacher, she is taking the right set of classes as per the subjects that she is assigned. Remaining would denote that this employee can take 2 more slots or 2 more periods, and deficit would mean that this employee is taking many classes more than what he was supposed to take. So this is decided based on the grade that you have assigned to the teacher and based on the allocation of subject that you have done here. Then we can see the institute's timetable. So we can see for a particular date, which can be a previous date or current date or a future date, we can see the timetable that we have created. So we should be creating timetable for all the batches. So appropriate data will appear for each batch. Then we have an option where we can substitute a teacher with another teacher if the teacher is not available. So we'll go to timetable tracker, select the swap timetable option, select the batch for which we want to replace the teacher, and the details will come up like this. So let's say Yel is an employee who was supposed to take this period, but he'll not be available to take it. So we can change it to some other employee. And since these are ad hoc or unplanned changes, we can see the details by going to swapped timetable report, and within a particular duration, we'll be able to see all the replacements that are done. We can view the details like this. So 1 plus would denote that this employee has taken 1 extra period as when you compare it in his work allotment. Similarly, this employee has taken 1 less period as per his work allotment. We can also get this into an Excel sheet. Then we can allocate classrooms by creating buildings. So we'll click on add building and give the name of the building like this. Inside the building, we can create rooms. So we'll click on the building and add rooms. When we add a room, it will ask us for the name of the room and the capacity of students it can handle. So like this, I have created many buildings, and inside each building I have created some rooms. I'll click on allocate to be able to allocate a classroom to each batch. So I'll be selecting allocation type to be weekly, and the timetable duration will appear up. I'll click on view, and I'll be selecting the block or the building like this, and the rooms will appear. As per the timetables that you've created within this duration, the details of the batches will appear. So it will show the timetable in each working day. So we have to do the allocation like this by dragging and dropping the room onto the period. So this would mean that on Monday, the mathematics period of grade 10 batch will happen in N1. Similarly, we have to do this for all the batches for all the working days once. And it will be repeated for the duration of the timetable here. If you want to change it for a particular date, you can change it from here. So we can change as per the allocation that you've done, the details will come up here and we'll be able to change it. So this is all about timetable. We'll be taking up the next part of core modules, which is examination, finance, and few other smaller modules that are left in the next session.